you feel the intensity? Do you feel the plot thicken? The air is heavy? Are you on edge? Are you just waiting for something to happen? October 30th is coming quick, and it's coming soon. What will the Eagles do? Will it be a trick or a treat this Halloween? I'm ready to go!
Then, when it's all said and done, you're gonna go to the doctor, you're gonna get a physical. You better get your prostate exam. Go get your prostate exam. No more waiting. Get it done.
I'm not getting that done. I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it.
You're 42 years old. Get it done! Look at you. Look at you.
Yo, everybody, how you doing? King Ding back here. So we are less than 24 hours away from Eagles versus Panthers in a game I think the Eagles, they got to win, and I feel very good about them doing it. I will be live streaming it, and speaking of live stream, I have an announcement today. I was going to do the Sixers game this afternoon, but I'm not going to be able to do it. I am losing my voice. I am not feeling good. And if I stream the Sixers game, I will have no voice for the Eagles game tomorrow. So I'm going to have to reschedule that Sixers stream until next week sometime. I'm sorry about it. I just don't have a voice to be able to do both. So I definitely apologize. As far as the Eagles go, everybody is talking. Everybody, at least I'll say 80% of people, they feel it in the air. They feel the thickness of the air. They feel the intensity. They're sitting at the side of their beds. They're all over the place. They know something's up. They know something's coming. They know a trade is coming, and it's just a matter of when. And most likely, it will be October 30th, maybe a little bit sooner. But the trade deadline is coming, and I give the Eagles about an 85% chance of basically making a trade. And I think it's going to be a pretty significant trade. Now, yesterday, we saw the Jaguars. They traded for Carlos Hyde. And I think that the NFL this year at the trade deadline is going to be crazy. I think there's going to be a lot more moves than we've ever seen in the NFL at the trade deadline. We've seen this trend the last few years where there's been more and more trades. It used to be a few years ago, you would never see a trade at the trade deadline. Never, hardly anything. It was so rare that it would happen. Now it's happening more and more, and I expect it to happen a lot this trade deadline. So it's going to be very, very interesting. When I look at the Eagles, I know how he's itching to make a move. I know he's put himself in a position, salary cap wise, to make a move. And I know that he's looking to make a deal. Now, there's a lot of rumors and stuff going on. There are more and more guys being added to the list of possible trades. There's a report today. Davante Parker, who I said and speculated he would eventually become available for a trade, that the Dolphins are shopping him around. They're looking for a third-round pick for him. They will never get a third-round pick. When you hear teams say, well, we want a third-round pick for this guy, or we want a first-round pick for this guy, most of the time, that is just leverage. That is just like a starting negotiation point. And that's just them trying to get leverage. So when I hear Raiders say, we want Amari Cooper, we want a first for Amari Cooper, I don't buy it. When they say, we want a third-round pick for Davante Parker, I don't buy it. I think Davante Parker, it can be had for a fourth, fifth-round pick, somewhere around there. And I think that's what they'll end up moving him for. Amari Cooper, I think, could probably be had for somewhere between a third and a second-round player. So, or third-round pick, I'm sorry. But I think that these guys putting out names, I don't think just because they say they want this or that, that doesn't mean they're going to get it, okay? These guys are actually probably more wanting to get rid of a guy than wanting to keep him. So they're willing to negotiate. There's another report saying that Patrick Peterson is not on the block. He will not be traded. Who knows? I don't know, but I expect that the Cardinals would probably stand firm in wanting at least a first-round pick for him, if at all. When I look at all the people on the block and all the guys that are possible scenarios and targets for the Eagles, the guy that I would want the most is now the guy who I think is most likely to become an Eagle, if anybody. That's right, Le'Veon Bell. I believe that Le'Veon Bell is the most likely player to get traded to the Eagles out of all the other names that we have been talking about. I get the feeling big time. I was reading some Steelers stuff by Steelers writers, and they were talking about a possible trade scenario that would make sense for them would be Ronald Darby and a 4th round pick for Le'Veon Bell. Now, I would hate to give up Ronald Darby, but if I had to for Le'Veon Bell, bye-bye Ronald Darby. I'll see you later. Don't let the door hit you. I'll drive you to the airport. Whatever. I don't know that the Eagles would do that. I don't think the Eagles are going to have to give a player up in the end. I think it's going to be a pick. When I look at what the Eagles would have to give up for Le'Veon Bell, I think it's going to end up being a conditional pick. It'll be like a 3rd round conditional pick, something like that, where if Le'Veon Bell signs an extension with the Eagles, then it becomes a 2nd round pick. That's the kind of thing I think that the Eagles are going to negotiate with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes, if the Steelers just let him walk at the end of the year, they get a compensatory 3rd round pick. But the problem with that is at the end of the 3rd round, that's essentially a 4th round pick, okay? So if you trade a team a 3rd round pick, it's going to be a much higher pick than that compensatory pick. So I do think the Eagles are probably going to have to give up a conditional pick that probably is like a 3rd that becomes a 2nd, something to that effect, and even maybe something down the road like a 5th or 6th round pick the next year or something. Who knows? But, I don't know. I think the Eagles, they want Le'Veon Bell. I think they're going to do everything they can do to get Le'Veon Bell, and it's still iffy if it's actually possibly going to happen. We just don't know. It's hard to imagine it does, but I think the Eagles are trying nonetheless. Now, if I can't get Le'Veon Bell, my 2nd choice would be Amari Cooper. I would want to get Amari Cooper because I believe Amari Cooper on the Eagles with Carson Wentz, opposite of Alshon Jeffrey, would be a all-pro wide receiver again. I believe the Eagles could bring back what we saw him early in his career. I think he would bounce back. I think the change of scenery, and I think Amari Cooper would come a beast for the Philadelphia Eagles. So I would definitely try to go and get him. If I can't get him, my 3rd choice will probably be Jordan Howard, although I don't know that I believe he's really available. If he is, great, go get him. I have no problem with that. David Johnson, I don't believe he's available. And as I talked about earlier, Patrick Peterson, there's been reports that they aren't trading him, so I'm not even thinking about him. But Davante Parker is another guy I wouldn't mind. I think the Eagles could get him cheap, and he could possibly help, but I would rather have Amari Cooper. So my choices are, my top 3 choices of a trade, I would say, are Le'Veon Bell 1, Amari Cooper 2, and then Jordan Howard 3. And if you can somehow get Bell and Cooper at the same time, you are going to win a Super Bowl again. So I want to know, do you think the Eagles are going to make a trade at the trade deadline? Do you think the Eagles are going to get Le'Veon Bell? And what players do you want in order? Who are your top 3 targets that you would like to see the Eagles get? That's what I want to know. Once again, I'm sorry if I sound like a little bit out of it today, a little low energy. I'm just really not feeling good, and it's really hurting to talk. I will definitely see you guys for tomorrow's game. I hope everybody takes care. Talk to you later, and don't be a dingbat.